How to draw the budget set. Let's assume we are given this equation, b equals px times x plus py times y. So what is b? That's the budget, or some income, some amount of money, right, that you're planning to spend on goods. Okay, now in this particular example or situation, we have two goods, good X and good Y. Now the price of good X is P with a subscript X, and the price of good X is P with a subscript X, and the price of good Y is P with a subscript Y. And X, of course, is the quantity of good X. Y is the quantity of good Y. Now, we're trying to draw the budget set, right? So how do we do this when we are giving that equation? Now, if you think over what this would look like in a graph, well, we want Y to be on the Y-axis, right? Okay, in that case, we take this equation and we rewrite it so that Y is the subject, like so. Now, how did I do this? Well, first, I moved px times x across the equal sign so that I have b minus px times x. See that? So now I have py times y on the left-hand side, and I divide through by py. And when I do that, I'm going to have y equals b over py minus px over py times x. Now you can see that I've circled what the slope is and what the intercept is, right? The slope, you can see it's negative. Now, this should make sense because our prices are never negative, right? The prices are either zero or positive numbers. So there you have it with the negative sign. All right. So now I did a bit of work ahead of time so that this goes fast on your end. All right, so here we are with the graph. Y is on the y-axis right here. X is on the x-axis right there. And then I just drew this line like that. But over here, I have the intercept, b over py. So what is b over py? Let's take a minute to understand the logic behind that. At this point where we have b over py, note that x is just 0, right? So this means that you walk into the store, you have the budget, right? Some amount of money, and you're not purchasing any of good X. You're only purchasing good Y. In that case, all of the budget goes towards good Y. That means you take your budget and you divide it by the price of good Y. That will give you the quantity of good Y to buy with the entire budget. In that same spirit, we are going to think of this intercept here, right? Hopefully you can see where my markings are. Intercept here, and you guessed it, that is b over px, because at that point you're buying 0 good Y and only dedicating the budget to good X. So we divide the budget by px, the price of good X. All right. So this is how you calculate the intercept along the x-axis. Now, that if y were 0, what is good X, right? That is what we just went through. If you bought 0 good Y, how many units of good X could you purchase, right? So that's what I'm doing here. I put, wherever I see Y, I put a 0 and I calculate for X. And when I do, I get X equals the budget divided by the price of good X. So this is where you can pause the video and look at the math and take a look at what I did and try to understand it. Of course, if you have more questions, you can put it in the comment section. All right. So having done all of this, we can go ahead and try an example, right? Here is an example where, again, we have our equation for the budget, b equals px times y plus py times y. Now, I'm going to apply some numbers to B, PX, and PY. Let's say the budget were $20, right? And then let's say the price of good X was only $2 and the price of good Y, $4. What are we going to do now? Well, here I have 4 tasks for us to complete. The first one is up here. Draw the budget set. After that, we want to find the amount of good Y that we can purchase if the entire budget of $20 was dedicated to good Y and we bought no good X. I think you know what the answer is, right? Good. And 3, we want to find the amount of good X purchased if the entire budget of $20 were dedicated or was dedicated to good X, meaning we buy 0 good Y. Okay, and then we find the slope as the last task. So again, I did some of this work, that way the video is not too long. Now, remember, the budget was $20, so wherever I have B, I put a 20. The price of good X is $2. Wherever I see PX, I put 2. And the price of good Y was $4. Wherever I see PY, I put a 4. So that's how I got this. Now, what do I do from here? I'm trying to graph this, right? And on the Y-axis, we put Y, and on the X-axis, we put X. So here we're going to make Y the subject, right? We make Y the subject, and we get this equation over here. Again, all I did was subtract 2x from both sides and divide through everything by 4. Okay, and this is my equation. So here I'm going to draw that for us. I start with drawing my axes. This is my x-axis, so x goes there and y goes on the y-axis, and I'm going to draw a downward sloping line. Why do I draw a downward sloping line? Well, the slope is negative 1/2, so it has to be downward sloping. Okay, and from here I need to figure out how many units of good Y to buy when I buy no good X, right here. X is 0 right here, and we need to find what Y is. Well, it's 5, right? But how did I get 5? Well, I took the entire budget of $20 and I divided it by the price of good Y, and the price of good Y is $4. And so I have, well, 5, right? So that's how I got this 5. Okay, and then what about here? How many units of good X do I buy if I buy no good Y? Again, take your entire budget, divide it by the price of good X. Price of good X is $2. There we go. These cancel out, and I have 10 down here. Okay. Now, let's go down and see. Oh, look at the question 2. We just answered question 2 right here, right? We just answered question 2. I'm going to write it again just really quickly. So that was your $20 divided by your $4, and so the answer there, exactly 5. Now for the third item, the budget was 20. The price of good X was 2. We cancel out, we have 10. Now find the slope. You all know this slope formula, rise over run, right? Rise over run. Okay, taking a look at this straight line right here, the slope will be the same every point along the line, you see. So the rise will be 5 and the run will be 10. So I have my 5 divided by 10. Let's not forget the negative sign because this whole thing is sloping down. And when I do my cancellation, cancel out, I'm going to get negative half. Cool, right? Yeah. Okay, that is the end. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Have a good day.